I'm concerned. He's the most explosive player on this offense. He scored twice last week. That being said, it's got to be on Aaron Donald in this defense to stop that high-flying offense if they're going to have a chance to win on the road today.
Part of the tradition here, the raising of the flag representing the 12th man. Joel McHale, actor, comedian, doing his part, and the fans doing their part. One of the noisiest places on earth. Let's check in down on the field with Holly Saunders. Holly?
Thank you very much, Chris. Well, 5 members of the Seahawks second-rate defense received Pro Bowl honors this week, but they are working through some injuries. Safety Cam Chancellor is out. He's replaced by Kelsey McRae. Also, defensive lineman Michael Bennett. I spoke with him just moments ago. He told me he's feeling only 70% to go today with that toe injury. So he's going to give it a go, but we'll see if 70% of this Pro Bowler is enough to get the job done today, Chris.
All right, thank you very much. If you had trouble hearing Holly, you're not alone. That's how it is here. Seahawks winning the toss deferred. They will be kicking off. Rams Benny Cunningham ready to receive. Seattle's won 5 straight in the postseason. The Rams come in with a 6-8 record after back-to-back victories. One more regular season weekend left. And the clash in the NFC West underway here as Cunningham will down it, touchback. Here comes the Rams offense. Case Keenum, who lost as the starting quarterback in his first 8 NFL games, but he's won 4 of his last 5.
And Case Keenum, Chris, is what you would call your classic game manager, and be honest with you, he has no problem being just that. Take care of the football, take what is given in this loud environment against this tough defense, and he'll give themselves a chance today.
Coming off an outstanding game against the Buccaneers on a Thursday night, he had a quarterback rating of 158, a near perfect game. On first down, Todd Gurley. Shoved backwards. Kelsey McRae coming all the way up from his safety spot. Rondé mentioned Tavon Austin. His 9 touchdowns, 5 receiving, 4 on the ground. Other than Gurley, he should get the football quite a bit. And a couple of rookies on this Ram offensive line still finding its way.
With Bradley Marquez out of the game, we're going to see a lot of Wes Welker in the slot. We know how effective of a player he's been over the years. See if they get him involved early.
Keenum complete at the 30. Falling forward is Kenny Britt. Good enough for a first down as he gets near the 35-yard line. And Rondé mentioned the Seattle defense. Their quest to lead the NFL in scoring defense for the 4th straight year. They're 5 points behind the Cincinnati Bengals at the moment. In the secondary, Cam Chancellor remains out, so Kelsey McRae in that spot. Deshaun Shedd and Jeremy Lane on the corner will play quite a bit in that spot. After a gain of 13, hesitation and incomplete for Austin.
Somewhat of a broken play there for Case Keenum. Obviously, this was set up to be a run play, and credit to the defensive end there. He took away his throwing lane as he tried to get that to Tavon Austin.
Austin in the backfield on 2nd and 10. He gets the football and knocked down up just short of the 36-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Well, if you've watched the St. Louis Rams play, you know that they find creative ways to get Tavon Austin involved, and that's one of them. Line him up in the backfield as a tailback and turn around and hand it to him. Seen him make linebackers miss in the hole. I think that's going to be a tough duty, though, against these Seahawks today. They are physical up front with those big guys, Mebane and Rubin.
On 3rd down and 8, Time for Keenum underneath and incomplete. Trying to go to Austin again. The coverage was good, and it's 4th down. Pro Bowl punter Johnny Hecker was a high school star quarterback for Bothell, nearby here in the Seattle area, and he has punted quite a bit this year. One of the Rams' best players, most active this season. And back to return, Tyler Lockett, also headed to the Pro Bowl, has a punt return for a touchdown this year. And Hecker drives him inside the 15-yard line. Lockett dancing around and gets up to the 20. There's a flag down. Back at the 32. The referee today is John Hussey.
During the return, blocking the back, receiving team, number 58. 10-yard penalty, 1st down, timeout.
That'll back the Seahawks up even more. And let's take a look at Kelton Pierre-Louis. What happened here? The penalty, the infraction called there. Seahawks start on offense.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
A chilly, damp December day. It's what you'd expect in Seattle. Been raining most of the morning and some snow in the forecast. On 1st down, Russell Wilson. Incomplete. Trying to go to Tyler Lockett. Staggering numbers, Russell Wilson. 19 touchdown passes in the last 5 games, all in Seattle. Wins with no interceptions and an incompletion percentage above 74%. That's never been done before in a 5-game stretch by any quarterback in history.
And what I love about Russell Wilson is that he won't take all the credit for it. He talks about the process and practice time and whatever else. But fact of the matter is, he has been awesome lately.
Christian Michael, his first NFL start, and he's dropped for a loss. William Hayes came up to make the tackle. Well, Doug Baldwin, who's been battling a hamstring and was a game-time decision of the pregame workout, who moved over to the sideline here, 13 touchdowns. He's back in for Russell Wilson. 4 touchdown catches in his last 10 games, and the offensive line, Russell Okung remains out with a calf injury, so Alvin Bailey has moved over to that side. And Fred Jackson in as the 3rd down back on 3rd and 14. 3 defensive linemen in, and here comes a flag.
Full start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
And that called on Bailey, who's playing out of position really as the left tackle. 7 defensive backs were in, too, previous to that snap, Rondé.
Absolutely. James Laurinaitis is the only linebacker on the field. They do this sometimes. Greg Williams' defense will put all these athletes on the field on 3rd and long situations, keep everything in front of you and make tackles. And this will be a story for us today with Russell Okung on sideline, Alvin Bailey having to play left tackle.
And can the Rams take advantage? It's Jackson on the run straight ahead, knocked down at the 9-yard line. Rodney McLeod from the safety spot. Rams forcing a 3-and-out, and the penalty helped, but certainly pressure up front.
Well, not only that, the play that William Hayes made on 2nd down, that lost yardage play, set up a 3rd and long situation. And that front for the Rams here, William Hayes, Eugene Sims, they got a tough job today keeping Russell Wilson in the pocket. But if they can factor in the run game, give them a much easier chance here.
John Ryan from his own end zone. Tavon Austin, who has a punt return for a touchdown, has the football and is smothered backward from midfield. Deshaun Shedd making the special teams play. And the Rams will get a second crack at it on offense. Scoreless in Seattle.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Here in Seattle, fans were happy to see that as the undefeated Panthers fell. Losing in Atlanta, Carolina already has the #1 seed in the NFC. Of course, had the earlier clash with the Seahawks. From midfield, good field position after the exchange of punts. Keenum to Tavon Austin, who spins out of a tackle. And Austin down inside the 35 of Seattle.
Now, this was a unique formation for the Rams offense. They had 3 tight ends in the game, 2 wide receivers. Tavon Austin lines up in the backfield, and all they're trying to do is create a matchup for number 11. They get him on the flat on a linebacker. He makes Jeremy Lane miss. This is why I love this kid. He's so exciting. What a fantastic spin move. Great feat by Tavon Austin.
A gain of 16. Todd Gurley straight ahead, works his way inside the 30-yard line. Some of the other scores from earlier today, winding down the regular season. The Kansas City Chiefs stay hot and clinch a playoff spot. The Jets in good position to do that, upsetting New England. And Baltimore surprised the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Todd Gurley on 2nd and 6. It'll bring up 3rd down and short. Came in 3rd in the NFL in rushing despite missing the first 2 games of the season, recovering fully from that knee injury. And a gentleman to talk to, excited about the Pro Bowl and thankful that he has the opportunity to star and run healthy in the NFL.
And I don't think if you ask him, he would expect it to have been a Pro Bowler after his first year. He told us that he was just trying to get back from that injury. He knew that it was going to be a long road, put the hard work in. We've seen the results on his rookie season. Fantastic player.
Cunningham in on 3rd and 3 in the backfield for Keenum. Case Keenum, can he run for the first down? It's going to be close as he went forward. Bobby Wagner was right there to keep him from stretching it. And the Rams may be tempted to go for it. I mean, this is a team that can't score points. They've lost their last 10 games here in Seattle, and in the last 8 games, the Rams have not scored more than 13 points in any of them.
Well, this was a close and a decision that Case Keenum made to run that football. The problem was I thought he had enough time in the pocket to find a receiver, Tavon Austin, coming across the formation, but instead he ran and set up this field goal opportunity by not getting that first down.
Greg Zuerlein from 42 yards. It's up and through. His 17th field goal out of 25 tries. And the Rams with the early lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Mobile Strike. Download and play now, free from the App Store. A
couple of the players that lead this Seattle defense that has gone to back-to-back Super Bowls, and they're giving up less than 18 points a game. And whatever the numbers show, I think the reputation of this defense had something to do with rattling Case Keenum.
I could not agree with you more, Chris. He had plenty of time in the pocket there. But again, when you're looking at a defense that has that kind of talent up front, led by Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill, I can see where he gets a little jittery. If he can calm himself down, he had an opportunity, I think, to get that first down.
Greg Zuerlein to boot it to Tyler Lockett, one of 3 rookies going to the Pro Bowl, selected as a returner. And on the fly, there goes Lockett. And Zuerlein had to slow him down around the 40. A return of 34 yards. The UFC starts the new year off with a bang on FS1. The return of Michael McDonald in his first fight in over 2 years. UFC 195 starts with the prelims on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on FS1. Always streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Well, the Seahawks started the season with a 4-5 record, reeling off 5 straight wins, and now an awkward snap that Michael gathers in and goes down at the 32 in the arms of Mark Barron.
Well, that's 2 negative plays early in this football game for Seattle. Uncharacteristic for Russell Wilson to mishandle a snap, and you'll just see the ball just pop right through his hands in the center there. Just really a terrible snap. Russell Wilson had no chance to make this. Good thing Christine Michael was heads up, or that could have been a turnover for the Rams defense.
Marshawn Lynch remains out, missing his 6th straight game, and the unfortunate injury with Thomas Rawls after what he did. But Patrick Lewis, the center, having some problems, and maybe when Aaron Donald is in your face, it has something to do with it. Wilson's throw is complete to Baldwin. And Doug has a first down up near midfield.
Or close to a first down, Chris. I think he might just be a few feet short here, but this is what Doug Baldwin is. He's a great slot receiver. You don't see a lot of yards out of Doug Baldwin. I mean, he's in his 15th game with all those catches, and he's not yet at 1,000 yards, but when you put him inside, he is tough to deal with.
A gain of 15 when they needed 16. Lemuel Jean-Pierre comes in as the extra lineman on 3rd and 1. Inside handoff, Will Tukuafu, the ball is out, and the Rams come up with it. Akeem Ayers has it. Ayers in the end zone, and it's a St. Louis score.
Well, I got to tell you, Chris, we talked about a motivated Seattle team in the open. They have been nothing but sloppy here, and of course, you get a guy that is not used to handling the ball who fumbles this. But right in the middle, you see the fullback get this dive, and you know the Rams defense is hard hitting, they're physical. That ball is out on first contact, and this is a fantastic return by Akeem Ayers. Makes a guy miss there.
A return of 45 yards, and that was only the 4th rushing attempt for Tukuafu. And again, the injuries at running back pushing Seattle into an awkward situation, and the Rams take advantage.
Well, if they can't score on offense, they don't do a good job of scoring on offense. Score on defense. They did it a couple of weeks ago with Tremaine Johnson. Do it again here with Akeem Ayers.
And from New York, thumbs up after the review to make sure fumble, recovery, return. There were a lot of areas to cover in the review, and wanted to make sure they got it right before allowing the extra point as it becomes official and in the books. And the extra point is good. The Rams with a surprising 10-0 lead in a place where they've lost their last 10 consecutive games. It was Mark Barron who knocked the ball loose as Russell Wilson was handing off to Will Tukuafu, and Akeem Ayers with his first NFL touchdown. And the Rams with a 10-0 advantage, getting ready to kick off here in Seattle.
Well, Mark Barron playing that weak safety for Ogletree, who's coming back from that broken ankle he suffered against Arizona earlier in the year. But he is one physical football player now. I played with him in Tampa for a couple of years. His rookie year I did. Comes to St. Louis, is a safety at times, is playing linebacker at times, but I know the best thing he does is hit people, and he had a heck of a hit and caused that fumble.
And on special teams as well, and he leads this Ram team in tackles. Lockett, who had an outstanding return to give the Seahawks excellent field position last time, gets up to around the 24-yard line.
Let's look at number 26 right there in your screen. Being a linebacker, having to get adjusted to these fits is something new for Mark Barron, but look him beat the guard there, get his helmet on the football, pops right out. Akeem Ayers, Johnny on the spot, picks it up, breaks the tackle of the quarterback, and we've seen the rest. Great return for a touchdown. All starts with number 26 in white there.
And the Rams defense on that 3rd and short, not only the stop but knocking the ball loose in the score. Christine Michael in the backfield now. It's Luke Wilson, the tight end, in motion. And it's Lockett with a block. and gets up near a first down and does have it.
Yeah, these Seahawks receivers, Chris, you talk about how often they're targeted. You know, the one stat that we were looking at most of this week is how few drops they have. A lot of it's because they get a lot of plays like this, because of the short passes at the line of scrimmage. They've been outstanding for their quarterback.
After a gain of 13, Russell Wilson sets to throw. Is trapped in the pocket. Now he gets out of it and unloads. And incomplete. Try to get to Tyler Lockett. But if the ball's near the receivers, they usually catch him, and they may not be headline names. In fact, even Baldwin jokes and calls them the pedestrians, because look at the percentage that when the ball is there, they hang on to it. It's one of the best in the league.
And these are all NFL ranks. Your top 3 receivers on your football team are 1st, 4th, and 7th in the NFL in percentage of times catching a ball thrown at you. That speaks to why this offense has been so explosive lately.
And Baldwin with 13 touchdown catches, tied for the NFL lead coming into the weekend as Michael carries and is brought down right away. Nick Fairley, the former first-round draft choice of the Lions, who's a backup on this Ram defensive line, makes the tackle.
Nick Fairley sees a lot of time, and his versatility really helps out this unit. He can play behind Aaron Donald at 3 technique. He's big enough to play nose technique. He gets in a lot of snaps for this Rams defensive front.
If you're going to compare third downs where Seattle has been in the last 5 games with that Ram defense, that's how it looks. And here it's 3rd and 7. 7 defensive backs for the Rams, and that's Fred Jackson in the slot now. Wilson on the move. He's going to keep and get the first down. Over 500 yards rushing this season and a 5.5-yard average, and a couple of Rams are down on the field.
Well, it was a violent collision at the end of the play. Watch both of the Rams defenders here. I think that's Nick Fairley and LaMarcus Joyner. Helmet right on the shoulder pad, and it's immediate that Fairley goes down. Let's take a break here and come back and check it out.
Both Nick Fairley and LaMarcus Joyner were able to walk over to the Ram bench. Joyner came in with a bad back, the nickel back for the Rams. Earlier, Ethan Westbrooks went to the locker room. Backup defensive lineman as Wilson flips, and it's caught by Cooper Helfert, who goes down right away. And Tremaine Johnson on the coverage.
Yeah, that was a fantastic tackle by Tremaine Johnson. He's got an interception in his past 3 games, but I'm telling you, if you play corner for Greg Williams, you have to be able to put your face on offensive players and make tackles. And that was a great example of it there.
Well, people have said this Seattle team running, whether it's Marshawn Lynch or whether Rolls, whether they're a running team. Well, they've been a passing team. Russell Wilson has lit it up out of necessity, but they've been very good at it. And on 2nd and 9, Bryce Brown is in at running back. And he gets the carry straight ahead. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, they've had to pass out of necessity. You said it. Bryce Brown, Kristen Michael having to start. These guys weren't even on the roster earlier in the season. I mean, Kristen Michael bounced around to 3 different teams before he found his way back to Seattle. So, yes, a lot of credit in my mind goes to Russell Wilson. He will not accept it. He's saying it's just a process, practice time, we're getting better. But when they've needed a guy to lead this offense and not being Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson's done an outstanding job.
This is 63rd consecutive regular season start. Lockett has it and is knocked down inside the 43. Eugene Sims, who Jeff Fisher told us has to play well in this game, keeps him short of the first down. The career high in completions, Russell Wilson hitting that mark. He's already had an outstanding career, and this is his 4th season, already a couple of Super Bowls.
Well, the 69% completion percentage that he's hovering around right now is fantastic. It's unbelievable considering, but he's almost going to pass for 4,000 yards this year, and that to me is as impressive on a team that loves to run the football.
First chart timeout, St. Louis. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Looked like the play clock was going to expire, so they called a timeout. As we welcome you up to the booth, Our view, and it's a good one. It's nice to be able to talk and not have to hold your ears and your mouth moves so you don't hear it. They're quiet for the moment here at Seattle.
I'll tell you what, 2 early scores by St. Louis has definitely dampened the noise in here. And you got to give credit to the Rams, especially this Rams defense. They're playing hard, they're playing fast. Of course, we've seen some mistakes by the Seattle Seahawks offense, but it's the physical nature of this Rams defense in a game against a division opponent. It's kind of been the difference so far early.
Well, and the Seahawks, they know they're in the postseason. The best they can do is the 5th seed where they are. The 6th seed would be the worst. They're in the playoffs for the 4th straight time. Pete Carroll has done an amazing job since arriving here in the Pacific Northwest.
And you got to think that the Rams have something to play for. I just mentioned they're the division opponent, but what they could do is knock Seattle into the 6th seed, and that's some vindication, I think, for a Rams team that's actually playing pretty well of late.
A great kick and a special play by Jermaine Kearse to down it inside the 5.
Well, fantastic punt by John Ryan, just hanging in the air, and then Jermaine Kearse. You love these guys that play outside to have the wherewithal to do what he just did, keep that ball down on the 2-yard line. Nice play.
John Ryan has been steady, as has Stephen Hauska, the place kicker for the Seattle team. Remember that quiet I mentioned a moment ago?
Yeah, you get a backed up situation. Of course the crowd's going to come alive.
Trey Mason, the running back. He gets the football and squirts through a hole up to the 10-yard line. Excellent blocking up front to give Mason an opportunity.
And you mentioned that noise. You got 2 young offensive linemen in Rob Havenstein and Cody Wickman, who have never played here. You got a quarterback that's never started here, and this noise is going to be a factor. The communication is going to have to come from the center, Tim Barnes. See how they manage it down here.
Mason remains the back. He gets the football. I thought it was interesting. Case Keenum told us, and maybe he was just trying to deflect the noise and the impact of it. And he said, well, at least the fans care. You know, it's better than playing in an empty stadium somewhere, whether they're rooting for or against you. At least you know the fans are there.
Yeah,
we'll see if he says that in the fourth quarter.
That's one way to look at it. But it's going to be loud.
Keenum's throw and juggle, but the catch made by Jared Cook, and good enough for the first down. In a pressure spot, Keenum delivers and Cook hangs on.
Well, this is how they manage the silent count. Watch your left guard here, communicating with the center. The center's making the point at the line of scrimmage. He tells Tim Barnes when to snap it, and the operation has been flawless so far today.
There's a flag down and the pass is incomplete. Trey Mason split out as a receiver. Actually, Richard Sherman was lined up against him.
Offside. Defense number 56. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, Cliff Averill, it's hard to jump off sides when you got all this noise. It's not like he's getting an audible hard count from Case Keenum. Got a little anxious. Jump the count. You get 5 yards to the offense here.
Well, the Seattle defense should be used to it by now. So on 1st and 5, Keenum, who said he would not be afraid to throw at Richard Sherman. He said, we don't go into a game saying we're going to avoid this guy. In the the backfield. Mason will be brought down by Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett is such an impact player. Lines up all over the defensive line. The top of your screen, he's working on the second-year player Greg Robinson and just lays him.
Bennett going to the Pro Bowl, leads the team in sacks, and the Rams will let this wind down. Quarter number 1 goes to the visiting Rams with a defensive touchdown. They have the lead and they have the ball. With Rondé Barber, Holly Saunders, Chris Myers, the start of the second quarter, and the Rams with a 10-0 lead over the playoff-bound Seahawks. Trey Mason remains the back. After a loss of 2, Todd Gurley just 3 carries in the game. Case Keenum to Mason, trying to put a move on, and out of bounds just across the 20. Kelsey McCray making the tackle, back down to the field in Holland.
Chris, a tough couple of minutes for the Rams defenses. Nick Fairley, Ethan Westbrooks, and Mark Barron all headed to the Rams locker room. They are currently undergoing concussion protocol. We'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Holly. That would be a blow to the Ram defense. Right now the offense facing a 3rd and 4. Keenum is in trouble here and dumps it off, but falling short of the first down is Wes Welker. It'll be 4th down.
Well, good elusiveness by Case Keenum. It's one of the assets that the Rams love about him and why he's their starting quarterback now. But his coverage is so good on the back end with those, 2 guys, Richard Sherman and number 29, hovering back there. Nowhere for him to throw the football. He has to dump it off, and they get off on 3rd down.
Tyler Lockett back to receive from Hecker. Fair catch waved for at the 30.5-yard line. There's a flag down back at the 28-yard line.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness number 6 on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. 1st down.
Wow, that's on Seattle's own Johnny Hecker, the Ram punter.
We see him take a shot here, Cliff. I don't know if you want to go around doing that to that guy.
Well, Hecker's...
It was almost half-hearted.
A big guy, yeah. 6'5", you see, but and Bothell High School about 14, 15 miles from here, so the penalty will be tacked on. And you saw the frustration from Jeff Fisher and Hecker. Boy, that Ram mentality goes from the defense through everybody, even the special teams. He knows it was a miscue, and it sets up Seattle at its own 46-yard line. Bryce Brown, the back for Russell Wilson. Brown the carry. They just can't run the ball against this Ram defense. As Aaron Donald going to the Pro Bowl, making the play.
How good is Aaron Donald? The guy is almost unblockable sometimes. Top of your screen, working on center Patrick Lewis. Just you watch film of him, this is what you see. You see offensive linemen with inability to get a hand on him. His penetration is so fast, he's so quick. And short guy, he's strong. He just dominates up front.
After a loss of 5, Brown splits out as a receiver now, top of your screen. Russell Wilson is on the run and throws on the run. And there is Bryce Brown. Bryce Brown inside the 10. There's a flag down back at the 42 of Seattle.
Well, regardless of this foul, what an incredibly improvised play by Russell Wilson.
Now, did he get past the line of scrimmage when he released the football?
Well, they're walking back towards the line of scrimmage, so it would indicate that it is a foul on Seattle.
Legal forward pass, number 3 of the offense. He was beyond the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, loss of down, 3rd down.
And you were exactly right, Chris. And when I studied Russell Wilson, he loves to step up into the pocket to run the football, but watch him out of the corner of his eye, sees his running back working on no one. Great thought, execution a little off by a yard.
It wipes out a 48-yard gain. A clever play, but just missed. Ball will be spotted back at the 37 of the Seahawks. And it looks like a challenge flag is coming out for Pete Carroll.
Seattle is challenging the ruling on the field of the quarterback beyond the line of scrimmage. Timeout.
We'll take a closer look. You saw our first vantage point. They'll take a closer look.
A's Game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. By Pizza Hut. Bring home the flavor only at Pizza Hut. And by Visa Checkout, the easier way to pay online. Sign up now.
It was ruled an infraction on the field. Past the line of scrimmage, Pete Carroll challenged. He's 4 out of 7 in challenges.
After review, the ruling on the field has been confirmed. The passer was beyond the line of scrimmage completely at the 42-yard line. Seattle will be charged a timeout. 3rd down.
And as Mike Pereira, our rules analyst, emphasized to us, Rondé, it was a correct call from the start. If the whole body and ball are past the line of scrimmage at the time of the release, thus the penalty, and that's what happened as the video showed. Loss of timeout, each team with 2 now remaining in the first half. Need to get all the way to the 44 of the Rams on 3rd down. Russell Wilson is airing it out for Lockett, and it's taken away. It's an interception by Tremaine Johnson, his 7th of the season.
And 4th in 4 games, and of course this was just a jump ball as good as a punt by Russell Wilson.
Tyler Lockett, Rondé, the player who is injured on the field.
Well, Russell Wilson does a good job. This is Tyler Lockett right here, does a good job buying time, stepping up in the pocket. And like I mentioned, this is as good as a punt. You hope your receiver can make a play on it or get a pass interference. But Tremaine Johnson does a fantastic job going up, high point this football, taking it away from the littler Lockett. It's a turnover for the Rams defense.
Checking on Tyler Lockett, who went high in the air and came down hard on his backside. And helped over toward the bench.
Well, I mean, look, he comes down almost vertical. I mean, my geometry is off. I'm not sure how far he fell straight down to the ground. But this is either wind knocked out of you, tailbone. Couldn't really tell there if his head smacked the turf at all. But hopefully Tyler Lockett's okay. They need him and his deep ability for a little guy. He is the receiver on this football team who gets the most out of the vertical passing game.
They have only 4 other receivers active, and tight end Anthony McCoy, he went on injured reserve this week. That was Russell Wilson's first interception since November 15th. They fake to Todd Gurley, and Keenum is going to run and slide at the 15. Here comes a flag. Bruce Irvin came in and hit him.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 51 of the defense. Hitting the quarterback in the head area, 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic, first down.
Clear foul here by Bruce Irvin. Case Keenum's going to the ground. No reason at all to take that shot at the quarterback.
Keenum is barely 6 feet, weighs about 200 pounds. Even joked when we met with Keenum the other day that he's taller than Russell Wilson. Barely. It's a first down all the way up to the 30 after the 15-yard penalty. Austin, the fake to him, he has it. And it's run back at the 31-yard line by Richard Sherman.
Yeah, fantastic defense by the Seattle outside coverage there, Richard Sherman. You know, whenever Tavon Austin is moving around somewhere near the core of the offense, in between the tackles, you can almost, it's not a guarantee 100%, but it's a high possibility that he's going to get the football. Tried a little trickery, a little reverse action, but they were all over it.
Gurley with some room, and Gurley plowing his way for a first down across the 40-yard line. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee. Kurt?
Well, Arizona's already wrapped up the NFC West, but because of Carolina's loss, they could wind up the #1 seed in the conference. That touchdown pass from Carson Palmer to Larry Fitzgerald, make it a 10-0 game. Almost had Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's a different winning guy.
Thank you very much, Kurt, and early Happy New Year to you. All the guys back in the studio. A lot to be sorted out in the matchups for the postseason. Keenum to Tavon Austin, and they got him surrounded. He'll lose yardage. KJ Wright threw him down around the 36.
Well, you talked to Richard Sherman. He said, we don't do anything special for anybody, but there is a clear emphasis on Tavon Austin whenever he is moving around the backfield, and 3 or 4 Seattle's defenders had that play completely read before it even started. Big tackle for loss there.
Second down, 14. Kenny Britt with the catch, and thrown to the ground across the 45 by Deshaun Shedd.
You know, when you face this Seattle defense as an offense, from an offensive perspective, it's so hard to be patient with these guys, but it's really the only way to win. You know you're going to get some pressure. You know your backs and your tight ends are going to have to play a factor and go the hard, long way. When you get a 3rd and long situation here, let's see what Rob Boris, the new offensive coordinator, has got dialed up. See if he can keep this drive going.
Keenum to the sideline and incomplete. Jared Cook covered by Shedd. It's 4th down.
This was a tremendous play by Deshaun Shedd, working in the slot against the big tight end. Tried to get a rub route on him, but he stayed in the fight here and had outstanding ball awareness, knocked that ball away.
If Johnny Hecker can control himself, here's Kevin Smith now back with Lockett suffering the injury. Smith, one of the backup receivers, back to receive the punt. Free agent from Washington, a Husky is Huck Hecker. Hits the ball high and short. Fair catch waved for. And around the 18-yard line, Smith gathers it in. And after the punt from Johnny Hecker, he's going to avoid any kind of penalty. They saw what he did last time. Look, they want revenge. And so did the Seahawks after that first meeting when they lost in overtime to these Rams.
Today's game is sponsored by Papa John's, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
After a 35-yard punt, ball spotted at the 19-yard line. We will keep an eye. Holly Saunders will check on the health of Tyler Lockett, the Seahawk receiver who was injured. Bryce Brown in the backfield. And Brown gets the carry. In the running game, not there. 10 rushes now for 7 yards total. And we mentioned the Hecker penalty early. After this last moment, we showed you some of the special teams players of the Seahawks targeting him in a sense, but right away John Hussey going over there and talking to the Seattle players saying, let's keep this thing under control. Especially in light of what happened with Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman.
I think this is a completely different situation than the ODB.
Yeah, but you don't want it to escalate.
You definitely don't want it to escalate. Good job by the officials to stay on top of that one.
Brown carries. William Hayes making the stop.
William Hayes has made 2 impactful plays in the run game already today from that left defensive end. We talked about him and Eugene Sims having to have big days keeping Russell Wilson in the pocket. But this defensive front with Hayes and Brockers and Donald have been very formidable against this potent Seattle run offense today.
Seattle just 9 yards rushing. On 3rd and 8, Russell Wilson goes down. Powering in for the sack is Akeem Ayers, who had the fumble return for the touchdown.
Well, this was a nice creative blitz by Greg Williams in this defense. You're going to see Akeem Spence come around this way, but Aaron Donald Ayers through the middle, and just see William Hayes again staying in the fight, beating the block there of 79 and gets the sack with Akeem Ayers.
John Ryan from his own end zone on 4th down. Austin has it. Straight ahead, inside the 40. Tavon Austin inside the 30 and knocked down in Seattle territory, setting the Rams up already with a 10-0 lead. Tavon Austin's punt return gives the Rams an early opportunity to add.
Back in Seattle, where Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett is headed to the locker room where he is being evaluated for a head injury. He is questionable to return. Chris and Rondé.
All right, thanks, Holly. And Doug Baldwin again with a hamstring affecting that offense of Seattle that can't run the ball, at least not so far. Todd Gurley in the backfield. For Case Keenum, who's looking to throw. And does, going deep for the end zone, diving and catching it for the touchdown Rams is Kenny Britt.
Well, Kenny Britt one-on-one with Richard Sherman playing man-to-man, and I don't know that I've seen Richard Sherman get run by like this very often in his career. But this is your best corner against a guy that hasn't been very productive. And look at that acceleration at the end of that route as he goes and makes a heck of a diving catch for this touchdown. Great throw by Case Keenum. Richard Sherman uncharacteristically beat. And this Seahawks team, Chris, is flat today. They are getting handled by a 6-8 Rams football team. And I'm pretty impressed that they're doing this on the road right now.
And the touchdown reviewed and confirmed for Kenny Britt, his 3rd touchdown catch of the season. Case Keenum with his 4th touchdown pass. And remember, said he wouldn't hesitate to throw in the area of Sherman. The extra point is not good. Zerline offline. It's his 2nd missed extra point of this season.
Well, we know he was dealing with a quad injury. I've noticed on 2 of his kickoffs so far that they haven't even reached the end zone. Not sure if he's hurting now, but the operation was good. He just shanked it a little bit.
Well, Richard Sherman and the Seahawks are hurting. They're just not used to, here in Seattle especially. It's one thing, we talked about that season opener when the Rams won in overtime in a wild game. But up in Seattle, when these 2 teams meet, it's usually all Seahawks.
Well, of course, the Rams are playing with nothing to lose, and it's interesting though that they mentioned, or we mentioned, I guess, that all they can do left in this season is make the Seahawks a 6th seed,
and they said we want to do that.
They have no problem
if they could
wanting to do that.
The Seahawks out of the playoffs, they'd want to do that. It's the NFC West, so such a rivalry anyway. Any of the way the teams line up.
I got to tell you, this is a Jeff Fisher type of game. If you've noticed, it's been entirely about field position. The Seahawks offense has been backed up most of the day. You're playing good defense. Your quarterback and taking care of the football. This is the formula if you're the St. Louis Rams, and we're seeing it on display today.
Well, with the Lockett injury, you heard Holly talking about that. Doug Baldwin is back to receive the kick. Last 5 games, 445 yards of offense. That's what the Seahawks have averaged. They have 29 total yards of offense so far in this game, and it'll come out to the 20. We've been talking about their first meeting in week 1. After an 18-point Seattle comeback, Nick Foles ties the game when he was throwing the ball to Kendricks, and then the short kick led to a Zerline field goal. And then on 4th and 1, the Ram defense stopping Marshawn Lynch to end the game. And the Rams won by 3. Foles has since been replaced as the starter. Case Keenum trying to win his 3rd straight start after getting knocked out of the game against Baltimore with a concussion. Fred Jackson in at running back after Michael was the starter. He has the football, and after a gain of about 5, Akeem Ayers, who has had a tremendous first half, brings him down.
Well, you mentioned it. They haven't been able to run the football very much today. They come out on this drive, put in their 3rd down package, 3 wide receivers, spread them out, and try to get something going on this offense. It's been so stagnant and very much unlike what we've seen the past 5 weeks of the season.
And the last time the Seahawks didn't score in the first half, about a year ago against these Rams. Michael back in at running back. Wilson in the pocket and spins out of it. Can he find anybody? Sideline catch. No. Trying to go to Luke Wilson.
I got to tell you, Russell Wilson and his sandlot ability, I don't know what this is. Hard to describe how he's able to do this every single time he drops back. Defensive linemen generally have no chance to keep up with them. Extending plays, trying to make passing plays down the field with his feet is a specialty of number 3.
Jermaine Johnson with that interception earlier, his first pick that Wilson has thrown in the last 5+ games.
Well, that streak had to end at some point.
A 3rd and 6 here. Knocked incomplete. Luke Wilson got his hands on it. Here comes a flag on Jermaine Johnson.
Well, they're going to discuss this, and obviously the flag is going to be a hit to the head-neck area.
Personal foul. Necessary roughness. Helmet contact, number 22 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Regardless of how the defender comes into the play, or if the offensive player is leaning in, a defender cannot make that contact to the head and neck area. That was a heck of a hit. Jermaine Johnson doing a little bit of everything.
A major penalty. They're checking on Luke Wilson, who took that hit over on the Seattle sideline. It's already been a very physical, bruising first half for both of these teams. From the 39 of Seattle, trailing 16 to nothing. Michael has it, gets a block, gets knocked out just short of the 50, but it's good enough for a first down. Kristen Michael, spelled like Christine because his mom thought he was going to have a daughter, ended up with a football player who's been cut twice, brought back twice after drafted in the 2nd round by the Seattle team.
Well, I think he had some attitude problems the first time around. Gets cut, some humility, hits him square in the face, and he's been productive in his 1 game back.
Knocked down right away at the 45. Michael Brockers, no respect for the Seattle running game from this Ram defense.
Well, not only is it not in respect, I mean, Michael Brockers completely makes the guy trying to block him whiff right here. Watch this. Out of your way, 2 steps into the backfield just as the running back is getting the ball. There's nowhere for him to make a play there. Outstanding defensive movement by the big fella there.
And with Wilson out, Luke at tight end, Cooper Helford is in on that side of the ball for Seattle. On 2nd and 13. Pressure coming. He unloads to Kristen Michael, who gets up to midfield where it will be 3rd down. They need to get to the 40 of the Rams for a first down. Still checking probably the concussion protocol. It starts out with a few basic questions. Of course, the certified trainer upstairs also has communication down to the official, the referee, the sideline. As Holly reported, a couple of Ram defensive players already on the concussion protocol for today's game. Darrell Bevel having to work without Lockett on this drive. And Wilson. Pass is caught by Baldwin for a first down.
What a nice quick decision this was by Russell Wilson. Mentioned how effective Doug Baldwin is in the slot. And again, receiver, quarterback on the same page. Quick strike for enough yardage for the first down. They'll go and hurry up to the line of scrimmage. Again, trying to find a way to spark this offense after it's been so dead here the first half.
Baldwin's second catch, gain of 12. Wilson standing and going down, smothered by William Hayes.
Well, this is just not fair. Number 84, Cooper Helfrich, trying to block. Watch this right here. Trying to handle William Hayes, and he just puts him on skates and goes right to his quarterback. Nice defensive play.
And again, Halford in because of the Luke Wilson hit. And we told you that Anthony McCoy went on injured reserve this week as Greg Williams' defense taking advantage anywhere he can.
When you can get production out of your 4 down linemen with the ability to play zones behind, make the quarterback hold the football, it's winning football. It's what they're doing right now.
There's a whistle. Pass going to Kevin Smith, but no play on that.
Second charge timeout, Seattle. This will be a 30-second timeout.
The leading rusher in the game for Seattle, Russell Wilson, with 10 yards. January, the celebration begins as we kick off the farewell season of American Idol. The show that made superstars ready to discover an idol one last time. Don't miss the farewell season premiering Wednesday, January 6th on Fox. And to become an idol, you have to sing or maybe have cool hair.
You guys got hair just like you, Chris Myers.
That's what it looks like. These fans, it's like Mardi Gras and Halloween at a Seahawks celebration every time they come to the nest to make noise. Hoping they have something to holler about from their offense.
Well, you just mentioned Russell Wilson, who is the leading rusher on this football team. They come in number 2 in the league in rushing yards per game, and Tyler Lockett is back in the game out of the locker room. They have not been able to get it done today.
That speed will help this offense. Wilson throwing high, but on target to Tyler Lockett. Well, Russell Wilson did a lot to make that happen.
Well, this is what Russell Wilson, this is the genius of what he does. He's able to scramble out of the pocket, and when he does that, you get your deep defenders to come up. You see Tremaine Johnson right there jumping in your screen. He left Tyler Lockett all by himself back there on the sideline. That's where that completion came from.
And again, Mark Barron is out because of the concussion, so Darren Bates, 53, has had to play that spot. It's a unique spot in this defense that Barron has played so well.
The weak safety, as they say, yes.
Christian Michael for the first down. A little extra shoving going on as we near the 2-minute warning here. We have reached the 2-minute warning. The underdog Rams with a 16-0 lead in Seattle, but the playoff-bound Seahawks are on the move. You can get apps, videos, and a lot more at itunes.com/NFL. James Laurinaitis, who takes in the defensive signals, having some problems with the transmission of the noise here, can have an impact. This is the furthest the Seattle offense has been in this game from the 28 of the Rams. Russell Wilson fires complete down to the 20. Did he hang on? That was Cooper Helfrich, who just got beat on the pass rush a moment ago. And they're saying he did not hold on. Part of the struggles from this Seattle offense. Pete Carroll's looking up saying, what? Thought he caught that thing.
Yeah, the 2 turnovers hurt there, but really it's just been their inability to keep drives going. And if you remember back this drive, Tremaine Johnson gets the personal foul, or this drive was stalled back on the 30-yard line.
Fred Jackson carrying the ball, one of the better runs we've seen today by this Seattle offense. Remember, they have a string of, as a team, rushing over 100 yards, 28 straight games, including 3 in the postseason, 25 in the regular season, but just 14 rushing yards against the Rams today. And an important 3rd and 3 for number 3.
Watch Doug Baldwin in the slot. You know he's his favorite target.
And he's going there. Baldwin has it. Ball comes out. Seahawks are on it. Jumping on the loose ball is Jermaine Kearse. Chris Long knocked it out of the hands of Doug Baldwin. But the Seahawks keep it and have a 1st and goal.
Respond to fumble.
Very nifty route by Doug Baldwin here. He's going to come up, fake out, and then pivot back inside. Great understanding again by quarterback and receiver. But then Chris Long with the hustle play, defenders coming from behind. Doug Baldwin doesn't see him at all, and they get really lucky there to fall on that football.
Clock running, 1 timeout Seattle. For the end zone, incomplete. Trying to fire it to Jermaine Kearse, but Jermaine Johnson was there.
Well, you're looking right now at one of the best red zone offenses versus one of the best red zone defenses in the NFL. Greg Williams, he is not scared to dial up blitzes down here, send all 8 guys, leave whoever left in coverage. See if he continues to do that to this Seahawks offense.
27 seconds, 1 Seahawk timeout from the 8, 2nd and goal. Russell Wilson knocked away at the last moment. Again, it was Trumaine Johnson.
Trumaine Johnson is a ball magnet. Saw the interception earlier, and this is a fantastic play again by Trumaine Johnson. Just the ability to come over his shoulder, not impact the receiver's ability to catch it. You can lay your arm on his back. He did not pull his jersey, so it was not a foul. Great play.
Now 3rd and goal.
Doug Baldwin at number 3. This is where he scored all of his touchdowns over the past couple of weeks.
And he's in motion. Fred Jackson's the back. Pressure is picked up. Wilson throws incomplete. And he was hit as he let it go, trying to get it to Baldwin, but it's 4th down. And Stephen Hauschka will come on to try and get Seattle on the board.
Well, we talked about he was trying to get the ball here to Doug Baldwin. He's going to be right here in your screen, but watch him interact with the tight end right here as they both get to the top of the route. Confusion, whatever. And he's not able to come out of that break and make a play on the ball for the touchdown.
Stephen Hauschka has made 8 straight field goals since his streak of 19 came to an end when Dallas blocked a try. 25 of 26 for the year, and this from 26 yards away. And nailed it. Seahawks are on the board with 15 seconds remaining in this first half. A surprising first half looking up at the scoreboard. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Another wild Sunday in the NFL, including upsets everywhere, especially Carolina and New England. Plus, the playoff picture gets a little bit clearer. We'll lay it all out for you on the Visa Halftime. Chris and Rondé.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. Cardinals with a 17-0 lead on the Packers as they near the half. Again, the Rams are playing out the string, trying to get to 8-8, but the Seahawks currently the 5 seed in the playoffs, and at the moment would go to the 4 seed, play in Washington, a familiar pattern in the recent history of the Seahawks and their postseason run. They could slip to the 6th seed.
And if they go to the 6th seed, and as they work on Doug Baldwin's ear, I'm not sure he's got an earring issue or what, but it looks like there's some blood on that deal. But if they have to go play in Green Bay or Minnesota, I think it's a lot tougher test for this football team. Obviously, Washington playing in a pretty dilapidated NFC East is the easier test if they are indeed the 5th seed.
And the Falcons are still alive in the playoff picture, just barely. They knocked off the Panthers, Carolina's first loss of the year. Hauschka will dribble this Tavon Austin. And he'll just down it right there. Take a look at some of the early finals and how they affected the NFC playoff picture. The Panthers with the #1 seed at the moment, but not locked up all the way through. The Cardinals could actually catch them. And Green Bay and Minnesota, they'll play to end the regular season in Green Bay. That could decide the NFC North. Vikings, of course, later tonight against the Giants could secure a playoff spot with a win, or at least move closer to that. And the Redskins, congratulations. Kirk Cousins, Jay Gruden winning the NFC East.
I know you love this graphic. It's not as pretty without as many teams on there.
I like it when there are a lot of teams and we all have hope. As the Rams will down it, run to 16 points here for the Rams in Seattle this half. It's the most they've put up in the last 9 visits to the Seahawks building. And it's not over yet. At the half, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks trailing the Rams 16-3. Glad you're watching the NFL on Fox, and the Visa Halftime Report is coming up after this brief timeout. Getting ready to start the third quarter after a field goal. Akeem Ayers ran back a fumble to get the Rams going. Ready to kick off to Seattle to start the second half. But before that, today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. And the Ram defense has sacked Russell Wilson twice, forced the fumble. They have an interception. They have only allowed 14 yards rushing. And Case Keenum to Kenny Britt for a touchdown. That's today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Seahawks getting ready for the playoffs. Another regular season game to go after this one. They'll play at Arizona with Rondé Barber, Chris Myers. And for the Rams, after the losing the last 10 times they've been up here, James Laurinaitis said this week, he said, usually it's the same old story. We hang around for about a half, I'm paraphrasing, and then things get ugly up here. Well, the Rams have the 13-point lead with a half to go.
Well, they're not hanging around today. They're playing some good football. I mean, William Hayes comes into the game with 2.5 sacks, has a sack and a half today, some other impact plays. Akeem Ayers with the touchdown. I mean, this looks like a motivated Rams team to get something done on the road today. Just give them a lot of credit. But it's not over yet, of course,
and
Chris.
Pete Carroll's always motivated. So is Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
And they'll have the ball to start the second half.
Absolutely. They get the ball back at the second half. Good stop by the Rams on that red zone opportunity. But you know what Russell Wilson has the ability to do. I'm looking forward to them getting off to a much faster start here in the second half.
How much do you think we'll see the read option from him? He hasn't really been able to run much. There hasn't been much of a running game period for them.
And again, credit to that Rams defensive front. Those 2 defensive ends are doing a good job making him scramble around in the pocket. Haven't seen much read option. I think they'll be ready for it if it does come.
And at times, Tyler Lockett was out of the game. He's now back. Luke Wilson was out. Cooper Helford stepped in at tight end. Lockett is back, and now to return the second half kick, Doug Baldwin and Lockett with 3 catches each in the first half as Russell Wilson held to under 100 yards passing and suffering the interception to Tremaine Johnson. The rookie Pro Bowler has a 105-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Let's see what he does here. Gathering it in at the 5. And Lockett, a return up to the 33-yard line moments ago. Jeff Fisher huddling with his team on the sideline.
Good football. We got to put 30 minutes together now. That's right. All we got to do, defense, keep pressuring him, get the ball back. Worst case, field goal's okay here and there. Offense is going to run the football. Let's go.
Part of what he does every game, there's the locker room at the half, but he gets everybody, offense and defense and special teams, together over on the sideline. We thank Jeff Fisher for allowing our cameras in as passes caught by Doug Baldwin. You heard him say, well, the field goal's okay now and then. In other words, saying, it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be that kind of game up here.
Well, we talk very frequently about not taking your foot off the gas pedal, and that's what this Rams defense has to do. I don't think they can afford to sit back and play it safe, let them march down the field methodically and score in this game. Stay aggressive. Greg Williams, I know his personality. It's not going to be a wait-and-see type of game. They're going to go after these Seahawks.
Kristen Michael with the carry, and good enough for a first down up across the 45-yard line. Let's check it down on the field with Holland.
Yeah, Chris and Rondé had a chance to talk to Pete Carroll on his way out of the locker room. He did not seem rattled at all by the Seahawks first half play. He said they made some rare mistakes. They need to clean those up at the line of scrimmage and go from there. Some simple fixes. Also, Jeff Fisher, even with the 16-3 lead, he said that he's concerned about Russell Wilson taking over the second half with his legs. So they prepared a lot of different looks to combat that. And I'm also, guys, trying to get an update on those 3 Rams who were in there for concussion protocol earlier.
And Mark Barron, one of those, missing from the field at the moment is Wilson. There he goes. The concern about him doing it with his legs, sliding at the 47. Fans want a flag here, but nothing yet on what they were hoping was a late hit. Russell's hurting there a little bit.
I'm not sure what he got hit here. It looks like he may have gotten a thigh, and this is what Russell Wilson does in my book. He steps up in the pocket to run. He scrambles outside to throw the football, and that just looks like maybe Akeem Ayers comes down on his right knee or left knee there. Little wobbled. We'll see how he reacts to it. Still gimpy.
After a gain of 8. Michael with a flag down, and there's no play there.
Well, this is going to be interesting because I think the official down here was going to call encroachment. The official at the top is calling a false start.
False start. Offense number 78. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's on Alvin Bailey, who's again in at left tackle for Russell Okun, who is out injured.
That was an interesting one. This official down here clearly was calling encroachment on the DN down here. But you see the false start up there, and that's what the original call was, or that's what the ultimate call was.
That's the 6th accepted penalty on the Seahawks. Wilson's pass is incomplete. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage, trying to get to Cooper Helfet. And Helfet, free agent from Duke, came in with just 5 catches. And in there because Luke Wilson took a tough shot in the first half and being checked for a concussion has not returned since.
You start losing some of these skill position players. The tight end, Tyler Lockett, goes out for a little bit. Haven't been able to run the football. It's evident why they are struggling on this side of the ball.
I mean, this is the NFL's 5th ranked offense coming into this game. And Russell Wilson gets out of it and incomplete, trying to go to Helfet, but it was amazing that he didn't get sacked. There's a flag down back where Russell Wilson was. It looked like James Laurinaitis put the pressure on.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 90 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And Russell Wilson again using that ability to scramble, and Aaron Donald is definitely a step too late. Correct call.
Just late. Jeff Fisher said they usually give you right about a half a step.
It's tough. It's tough for Aaron Donald. Obviously, he's bearing down on a quarterback. And Russell Wilson, you never know when the play is dead with him.
So, and that was a 3rd down play, Rodney, so they would have been forced, or at least in a position to have to punt. It gives them a new set of downs all the way out to the 37 of the Rams. Big penalty. Kristen Michael powering forward. And Pete Carroll talked about his explosiveness and quick feet. We haven't seen a lot of that today. That was his 6th carry.
Well, I like what he showed last week. Obviously, he didn't start that football game, but he came in, had 16 carries, 84 yards, and they were tough, significant runs. He has great quickness with his feet, and he runs with his head down. He's a talented player.
Michael again with a first down. Kristen Michael inside the 20 of the Rams. Here comes a flag. Over on the sideline at the 34-yard line.
Personal foul, flipping, offense number 78. 15-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's a third penalty today on Alvin Bailey.
Well, Alvin Bailey, top of your screen. There you go. As Aaron Donald runs away, dives into the back of his legs. You don't very often see clipping penalties in the NFL, and that one was a little touchy.
There's Russell Okung, who would normally be at that left tackle spot, and Bailey was projected as the left guard heading into the season, but lost out. They talked about having Gary Gilliam move around over there. This offensive line have been doing a good job during the 5-game winning streak. Backed up near midfield. Wilson hesitates. And out of bounds. No catch. Trying to get to Bryce Brown.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to describe Russell Wilson, but I want you to watch when he pulls this ball down. Aaron Donald, that little stutter right there creates enough room for him to get out of the pocket and find a way down to throw that ball down the field. I mean, the descriptions are endless. You can come up with 1,000 ways to describe his elusive ability. It's always impressive.
Comes in with a 14-game streak with at least a touchdown pass. The last time he did not throw a touchdown was against the Rams, December 28th in 2014. There's a flag down as Fred Jackson makes the catch and gets down to the 37 of the Rams.
Well, penalties are becoming a big part of this football game now, Chris.
Offense number 64.
There was a big one on the Rams that moved Seattle up, but now 2 on Seattle
Remains third down.
has pushed them back.
Well, J.R. Sweezy, your right guard, is going to be working on Michael Brockers. And as he gets beat, he just grabs onto the back of him, pulls him down. Clear penalty right in front of the official. And the Rams decide to take this foul and make this a 3rd and 31. And this is purely for field position issues.
And so they bring in Kevin Smith, Kason Williams, couple of backup receivers, both from Washington. On a 3rd and 31.
Go get that in. Yes, sir.
Wilson has time, but can he find anybody? Middle of the field open. Catch made at the 40. Doug Baldwin.
You got to be kidding me. And he's going to step out of bounds short of the line to gain.
But it sets him up for either a field goal or a 4th down. Go for it.
This is exactly what you don't want if you're the Rams. You took that penalty for this exact reason, so your defense can play back. And Russell Wilson buying time. There's no pass rush. Doug Baldwin gets the catch, but then he has some blockers there on the edge, and the effort is outstanding, but he does step out just before he makes that leap.
The gain of 28, and Tremaine Johnson, who's been, along with Akeem Ayers, one of the stars of this Ram defense in the first half of this game. He has the early interception. He's being helped off the field.
Well, Tremaine Johnson was one of the first guys to try to make an attempt on that tackle. And he went down kind of awkwardly. I'm not sure what this injury is.
So now it's 4th down and 3 after the big gain. And Pete Carroll deciding here with Russell Wilson to go for it.
Well, this is a big moment in the game for Seattle. I know it's early in the 3rd quarter, but this could be somewhat of a trend or a tone setter for this football team. Mentioned earlier, they were a little listless to start this football game. This could definitely set the tone.
Best in the NFL on 4th down, but they're passing up what would be a 48-yard field goal try. Wilson for the tight end. Helfand has got a 1st down inside the 20. Of all the go-to guys, Cooper Helfand.
Darrell Bevell drew up a very nice play here. He motioned the tight end outside. He's going to come up here and then come underneath. This creates a natural pick on 31 there. Alexander, the safety, playing off coverage. And if you're the Rams secondary right now, you got to be kicking yourself that you gave up that much space for that completion. Good execution by Seattle.
Especially on a 4th down and 3. As Bryce Brown carries to the 15. And once again, Akeem Ayers on the tackle. Well, Cooper Helford, who made that 4th down catch, had only, as I mentioned, had 5 catches coming into this game. He has 2 already for Pete Carroll, who's without Luke Wilson.
Well, you could feel the calm by the Seahawks, even just standing up here looking down on the sideline. There's no panic ever in this unit. Supreme confidence in what they're trying to get done. They're in the red zone again with an opportunity to score.
And Luke Wilson is out of this game with a concussion, will not return. Russell Wilson is going to go down. William Hayes and Eugene Sims combine for the 3rd sack by this Ram defense.
Well, if you're asking who William Hayes is, the Seahawks are finding out very quickly who he is. He's right there on the end of the line of scrimmage, but this is a sack by him. But good job by Eugene Sims on the other side of the field, maintaining his rush lane, not giving Russell Wilson a place to go. And again, Chris, you see Russell Wilson there on the ground holding his knee. You have to find out if there is something wrong with that right knee.
Took a shot to start the second half and got up slowly. Russell Wilson without a flag for the end zone, and Baldwin, Seahawks touchdown. There is a flag down. It came late.
And I think it's going to be pass interference on the defense. But this is just amazing that the Rams defense allowed this play to happen on 3rd and 18. Doug Baldwin mentioned it again. He's most dangerous when he's in the slot, and how he gets behind 3 guys here in coverage. Maurice Alexander does a terrible job keeping his depth. His eyes are bad, looking in the backfield. The receiver goes right by him. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Yeah, mistake. There were quite a few by Greg Williams' defense on that drive on 3rd downs, but for Baldwin, that's his 11th touchdown in the last 4+ games, and his 14th touchdown reception of this season. And for Russell Wilson, that's his 30th touchdown pass. And the extra point by Hauska is good. Seahawks respond with a 3rd quarter touchdown to cut into the Rams' lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. By Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Well, Doug Baldwin, who plays with a chip the size of Mount Rainier, just set the Seahawks franchise record. And over 1,000 yards. He's the first Seahawk receiver to do that since Bobby Ingram back in 2007. And as importantly, getting the Hawks to within 6. The great Hall of Famer Steve Largent, who has been here in and around the game. In Seattle is Benny Cunningham. Brings it out for the Rams. And it's shoved back at the 17-yard line. Russell Wilson to Doug Baldwin. A historic combination in Seattle. Other than one kneel down, it's the first Rams offensive play since Kenny Britt's touchdown at the 6:43 mark of the 2nd quarter. Todd Gurley, maybe to the 20-yard line. Case Keenum takes in the offensive play calls from his quarterback coach, Chris Wanke, through his helmet. Here's how it sounds.
H2 to shotgun, pitch right, Ryder, pitch on right, Houston, check, rocket, switch.
Rob Boris is the offensive coordinator, but Wanke relays the plays in. That's tough to decipher sometimes, but Keenum says, I got to know the plays by heart, so the minute I hear it, I know what to do. Pass is incomplete.
Well, Case Keenum has got to make smart decisions with the football now. You got to thank the Rams for letting us get in their helmet pregame when they were doing introductions and get an idea what that sounds like. But this defense feeds off its offense better than any team that I've ever seen. They scored a touchdown to get them back in the game, and now the crowd is getting rowdy too.
On 3rd and 9, Keenum hit, but he completes to Cunningham, who powers his way for the first down. Looked like he was going to be stopped, but the extra surge by the 3rd down back is big.
Benny Cunningham's a tough runner now. He's a kick returner, but watch him. I mean, can I call this turtling? Turtle his way to a first down there. He gets on the ground. It's all fours. You do those drills when you're a little kid. They come in handy in big-time moments for the St. Louis Rams.
Kenny Britt headed to the Ram locker room. Case Keenum has done an excellent job of managing this game for the Rams. Tavon Austin the pitch. He gets a block. And Austin short of the first down, but a healthy gain of 8. Let's get a game break. Check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, Arizona has sacked Aaron Rodgers 6 times today. This one by Kareem Martin. Pulls the ball out. Corey Redding, the one-time Seahawk, takes it in for a 36-yard defensive score. Look at this, 31-0 Cardinals rolling. Chris and Rondé.
We had those Green Bay Packers last week, Chris, and Coach McCarthy was looking for a statement game against the best team in the NFL. He is not getting it.
Well, the Cardinals are making the statement, apparently. Carolina lost earlier to Atlanta, their first defeat of the year. On 2nd and 2, Todd Gurley will get the first down up to the 40-yard line. Case Keenum was not hesitant at all about or offended by the role, as some quarterbacks are, of managing the game.
Yeah, we mentioned that early in the game, and he said the good ones do. I mean, it's not a negative connotation to say he's a game manager, and especially when you're playing a team like this. You're never going to be able to air it out. Their secondary is too good. Their rush game is too good. You have to take your time, be patient. That's exactly what Case Keenum's been doing.
Nick Foles, who led the Rams to victory in the season opener as the starting quarterback, looking on. Gurley on 1st and 10. And gets up near the 35. Let's check in down on the field with Holly.
Chris, just a couple of injuries to report. Nick Fairley with the Rams is out with a concussion, as is Mark Barron. Also, Ethan Westbrooks is still in the Rams locker room being evaluated. And Tremaine Johnson walked to the Rams locker room. We're still awaiting word on his status, while the Seahawks' Luke Wilson is also out with a concussion.
Thanks, Holly. And we saw Kenny Britt go to the locker room. We'll check on that. Number of defensive players for the Rams are hurting. Keenum backpedaling. And Gurley has the catch, and he zooms after getting the football up near the first down marker.
Well, Todd Gurley's a special player. I didn't know that he had hands as good as this. This was a ball that he looked like he caught on his hip. He makes a great play and picks up the first down. We haven't heard much from Todd Gurley today. A lot of times when you play the Seahawks, you just have to stay committed to the run game. You know you're going to bang your head against the wall a couple of times. And we'll see how that pays off for them, this commitment to the running game here.
He's only carried the ball 7 times today. That was Gurley's first catch. Good enough for the first down. Gurley again with nowhere to go. Bobby Wagner making the tackle. Well, he hasn't been explosive in this game, but the numbers that he has put up as a rookie, the first Ram rookie with 1,000 rushing yards since Jerome Bettis, some impressive Ram runners on that list. I like that he said the offensive coordinator, Rob Morris, told him, don't ever let me tell you where to run. In other words, there's a game plan, but follow your instincts.
Good runners make their own way, and you look at those numbers, and you got to think that he's the rookie of the year. Either quarterback, Mariota or Winston, might be in the conversation, as well as Amari Cooper. But what he's done in a limited number of games in his rookie season after coming back from that knee injury is amazing.
Keenum on 2nd and 9, quickly gets rid of it. The ball's knocked out. Excellent defensive play by Wagner, or it would have been a catch by Lance Kendricks.
Yeah, this was fantastic by Bobby Wagner. The reason he's a Pro Bowler, because of plays like this. He's all over the football field. And Case Keenum makes a great delivery to his tight end, but just look at the ball awareness, snaps it right out of the receiver's hands for the incomplete play.
Now 3rd and 9. Extra pressure is picked up deep down the sideline. The coverage is good, but the catch made by Austin out of bounds. And Richard Sherman was right with him.
Blanket coverage over there by Richard Sherman. Again, man-to-man. Tavon Austin isn't able to run away from him, and Richard Sherman has such great length as a corner. It's really amazing that Tavon Austin even was able to come down with this ball, but it is out of bounds, incomplete play, and the Seahawks get off on 3rd down.
Richard Sherman, who gave up the touchdown earlier to Kenny Britt on the coverage there, and now it's 4th down as Tyler Lockett standing back at the 11 from Johnny Hecker. Waves for the fair catch at the 10. And that's where the Seattle offense will take over. They've had a field goal to end the first half and a touchdown drive to start the 3rd. That's the story lately on the Seattle offense.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Every other truck is history.
With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers here in Seattle, where the Rams have a 16-10 advantage with just over 3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Jermaine Johnson and Mark Barron out at the moment on this Ram defense. Russell Wilson coming off a touchdown toss moments ago to Baldwin. And he's out to throw again. Catch made across the 20. It's Baldwin again. His 7th catch of the game and over 100 yards receiving.
A lot of pressure on Russell Wilson again by this Rams defensive front. But good job staying in the pocket. You know you're going to get hit delivering a football to Doug Baldwin, who's covering on coverage by LaMarcus Joyner for that big 1st down there. William Hayes again having a fantastic day pressuring the quarterback.
Bryce Brown surging to the 25-yard line. Neither team really has run the ball well today. Just over 30 yards for Seattle on the ground. The Rams have almost 50 rushing yards.
You got to wonder here, Chris, if some of these injuries to the Rams defense are going to take an effect. Mark Barron was really their best player on defense, playing that weak safety kind of will linebacker position. Jermaine Johnson, who's having a fantastic year, is out of the game. TJ McDonald's on IR. Could come back to haunt them.
Bryce Brown on the carry. Akeem Ayers, who, if you weren't with us in the first half, Jermaine Johnson's now coming back onto the field. And that'll help in the secondary. Rondé just referring to Akeem Ayers had the fumble return for a touchdown that Mark Barron actually caused the fumble on. Will Tukuafu, the fullback, his only rushing attempt of the game. 3rd down and 4.
Empty backfield here. 4 receivers to the bottom of your screen. Look for some type of play to come out of that bunch formation.
Tyler Lockett in motion to the top of the screen. Russell Wilson looks that way, and the ball is spun out after the catch was made. Ruled a incomplete pass. Rams might want to take a look, see if he had the ball long enough for a catch.
We're going to sit here and try to define what a catch is.
Let's not go there.
Fantastic play, really, by Janoris Jenkins, staying in the fight. That might.
Is there an element of time? Is there a football move? Did he have 2 feet down? Did he make the catch?
Don't give me this, but he was being contacted to the ground, so he's going to have to maintain possession of that football. Here comes a challenge.
No, I think Jeff Fisher, remember he's the co-chair of the competition committee, and it looks like the Seahawks are actually going to challenge. They might want to challenge that he made the catch and was down. But they will review everything in this process, so it could work against you.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm proficient on what a catch is and what is not, but from my understanding, from our rules official, Mike Pereira,
the rolling on the field of an incomplete pass. Timeout.
Is that if he's getting contacted to the ground, he has to maintain it to the ground. We'll take a couple more looks at it.
Ruled incomplete. Mike Pereira, our rules analyst, and challenged. What do you think?
Well, I think before John Hussey flicks on the microphone, I think it is incomplete. You know, to me, he does get control, but he gets hit by the defender before the second foot comes to the ground, and he's going to the ground before he completes that third element of having the timing thing. So ruled on the field as incomplete. I think it stays incomplete.
Thanks, Mike.
After review, the rolling on the field of an incomplete pass has been confirmed. The receiver did not complete the catch while the clock was on the ground. Seattle will be charged a timeout. That is their last and final challenge of the game. Will the play clock operator please set the play clock to 10 seconds? 10 seconds, please. Play clock.
Well, that's about our third or fourth completion challenge this year, Chris, and I finally got one correct. Thank you, Mike Pereira, for clarifying what I hope that I clarified the right way.
I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, the officials, the officials stayed with the decision on the field, and on fourth down, the punt, fair catch called for. So the Rams take over on offense with under a minute to play, protecting a 6-point lead here in Seattle. All right, well, Friday was Santa's big scene, but hey, who's drying my hair? Look at that. They know this this crew. Rondé, you got when you're a sportscaster, you got to have a hair dryer. Well, you don't have to worry about that.
I don't have to worry about
but especially in Seattle.
Look at that, guys.
Right.
He's drying your hair off.
They kid because they care. And it is a record crowd here, 69,080, enjoying the game despite their hometown Seahawks trailing at the moment. Tavon Austin hauls it a little high and run out of bounds. Richard Sherman, that's only the fourth pass attempt in his direction, but some games people won't even go in that area.
Well, they're smart not to. Richard Sherman's a Pro Bowler for a reason. He got off to the season with a slow start. He missed some opportunities for interceptions, but he has always been a dominant player, even without the gaudy numbers that we've seen from him in the past. Again, I'm so surprised that he gave up a touchdown earlier. I know he's kicking himself. He's looking for some redemption.
Todd Gurley met hard. I mean, he ran into a brick wall named Taba Rubin, who's going to his first playoff in his 8-year career.
Big man against a nice runner. Look at him shed the block of Wickman and just nail Todd Gurley in the backfield.
And at the end of 3 quarters in Seattle, Seahawks 5-game winning streak on the line, trailing the Rams 16-10. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Couple of things to keep in mind as we start the fourth quarter. The Seahawks have had the lead in an NFL record 62 consecutive games. They have not led today. And it's been 10 years since the Rams have won here in Seattle. On third down for Case Keenum. Pass is caught, and it's Benny Cunningham falling into Seattle territory for a first down.
Benny Cunningham does a really nice job in an isolation route against Bobby Wagner, and Case Keenum is on it right from the get-go. Nice completion for a first down.
Keenum very steady. That just put him over 100 yards passing, but he hasn't made a mistake. No interceptions, no fumbles. Gotten his team out of the huddle into the line on a consistent basis in one of the noisiest places on earth. Incomplete. Trying to go to Kenny Britt. Jeremy Lane back there on the coverage.
Really good coverage here, and Jeremy Lane does a good job not panicking on this throw because he's out of phase. He's in a trail position. Watch him play through the receiver. Does not interfere with him. Nice pass defense.
You heard Jeff Fisher say to start the second half how important field goals would be. It's critical they get in position with only a 6-point advantage on 2nd and 10. Todd Gurley breaks through the hole and gets down to the 40-yard line.
Well, I got to tell you what, Bobby Wagner saved what was going to be a touchdown on this run. Watch how quick he gets through this hole, but watch Bobby Wagner react to this and come save this play. Todd Gurley's a special player. Bobby Wagner's not there. It's one-on-one with Earl Thomas, and I don't know.
On 3rd and 1, Benny Cunningham. The ball is out. Seahawks got to it first. Cunningham got the first down. 2 Seahawks had a chance to get to the ball, but they couldn't gather it in.
It's unbelievable that Earl Thomas didn't come up with this football. Benny Cunningham.
And it remains the Rams football.
Yeah, Benny Cunningham in the hole. Made a little jump cut, and as soon as he got his feet on the ground, the ball came spitting out.
How did Seattle not come away with this football?
But watch the jump cut, the move, and the ball is moving before he comes to the ground, but Earl Thomas is right there. I am confounded how he's not laying on top of that for a Seattle takeaway.
Now they're going to change their ruling. Let's see. The officials have to sort this out, and it's difficult to tell on the replay.
Well, we'll get a review from the officials, but you can see that he doesn't come up with it very cleanly there. And if they go back and look at this,
it's Seahawks football.
It's going to be interesting.
And you can see one of the Ram players saying, I got this. It was Tim Barnes saying, I had it. But Earl Thomas has it now, and when it's ruled a turnover, obviously it's reviewable, and all turnovers are if they're going to say it's Seattle's football. But what will you be able to tell from that?
Well, you'll see Tim Barnes right there coming into the pile.
Yeah, they're going to change this. They may change this back.
Change this again, Chris, because
the officials are conferring, Rodney. They've pointed in two. They're like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. I mean, their arms are going both ways, and they're going to. It's a big ruling here.
The ruling on the field is a recovery of a fumble by number 61 of the Rams. It was ruled down by contact. In the pile, the ball was taken away. After the ruling, first down, St. Louis.
Well, the fans here are not going to like this call, but this is the perfect angle to see number 61, Tim Barnes, coming to your screen. Earl Thomas does not catch it cleanly, and right here.
Yep.
Wait 1 second.
Looks like Barnes.
He has possession of the football right now. He's down by contact, so that is the correct call. It is the Rams football.
Does he have possession, or did they both share that?
Well, I don't know how the tie goes to the runner deal.
Now the Seahawks can challenge this.
They're out of challenges though, Chris, because you remember they missed on the challenge earlier. So there's no recourse.
They have missed on one challenge.
There's no recourse for Pete Carroll. This ball's going to stay with the St. Louis Rams.
So they have lost both challenges. You're allowed to use two, but Seattle has lost both. So they could not challenge in that situation. Had it been ruled a fumble recovery by Seattle, it would have been automatically reviewed.
Yes. That's exactly right. That's just a misfortune of the situation.
But the officials were pointing between
both ways. We saw them point to the Rams, then come back and point to Seattle. The crowd goes crazy. They finally got it right with Tim Barnes having recovered, and the crowd disapproved, as did Pete Carroll, but it was the correct decision.
2nd and 4. Todd Gurley will break through. Gurley, high hurdling and loses the football. It's still rolling around.
And Tim Barnes again falls on the football.
He may have been out of bounds, but if the ball was out of bounds, the Rams will retain possession. Kenny Britt looks like he's hurt.
Todd Gurley is amazing. Special player. Earl Thomas, one of the best players in the league. Whiffs, nothing. But Deshaun Shedd comes in, knocks that ball out. Tim Barnes is there to recover the fumble on the 1-yard line. Watch this athletic ability. This guy coming off an ACL a year ago does that. But nice hustle by the center on this offense, running downfield to get this recovery.
Or just get it enough out of bounds. Barnes everywhere with a loose football to make sure that Seattle couldn't get to it. Gurley is 6'1". Hurtling over the Seattle defender and being helped up as Kenny Britt has already gone to the locker room once today. But he does have a touchdown catch. And it's 1st and goal Rams. 2 fumbles survived because of Tim Barnes, the center.
I mean, that was unbelievable. I'm still aghast at the athletic ability of Todd Gurley there. Credit to Tim Barnes, of course, for coming to get that football, but man.
And again, for clarification on the earlier fumble, Seattle lost a challenge in the first half, and then they lost the recent challenge, so obviously you lose 2 challenges even with a timeout. You can't challenge, so you're out for the game. The officials will review under 2 minutes automatically. 1st and goal Rams. And Todd Gurley with a flag.
Offense number 71. 10-yard penalty. Touchdown.
That call on Garrett Reynolds will push the Rams back.
Garrett Reynolds right here in your screen, left guard, working on Moreeeee and takes him to the ground. I understand why that's a hold. Could have gone uncalled in my mind, but the Rams need to be patient with the football right here. Don't take any unnecessary chances. I would be surprised if they don't turn around and hand this ball off 3 times and kick a field goal and give them a 9-point lead.
From the 12-yard line on 1st and goal, it's incomplete. Austin, the target. Todd Gurley had the impressive run, high hurdling, but then lost the football. And as amazing as that was, just as amazing that Tim Barnes, the center, recovering his 2nd fumble in this drive to keep the Rams in possession of the football. Gurley inside the 5. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Well, the persistence in the running game is starting to pay off for the Rams at this point. See the same run combination. This is about the 4th time we've seen this run. Todd Gurley showing the patience that's made him a great runner as a rookie. Gets this ball down to the 2-yard line. These guys are going up against a good defensive front, and they are winning in the run game in the 4th quarter.
Todd Gurley for the end zone. Touchdown Rams.
What an impressive drive by the St. Louis Rams. Obviously aided by 2 fumble recoveries by the center, but they needed a big, significant scoring drive here, and they come away with it on the legs of Todd Gurley and some great blocking up front by this offensive line. Watch them win the line of scrimmage. You move Rubin and Maybane out of the way. Todd Gurley can just fall right into the end zone.
Jeff Fisher's offense producing. Keenum an earlier touchdown pass, and now Gurley with his 10th touchdown of the season. And they have to thank the center Barnes for coming up with 2 loose footballs. 2 fumble recoveries in this drive. A drive of 62 yards, and an earlier extra point missed. This one made. And it's a 23-10 Ram lead against a Seattle defense that gives up fewer than 18 points a game.
Today's game is sponsored by Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK. By State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. And by Amazon Fire TV. So long, showhole.
Rams ready to kick off a real blood and guts drive from that offense.
62 yards. And really, I'm not sure what the Seahawks were expecting when the 6-8 Rams came into town. This is a different football team that we saw struggle earlier in the year, Chris. They've won back-to-back games. They've done it in convincing fashion on defense. And Case Keenum, we keep talking about it, has managed the football game well, and he's done it again so far today.
Tyler Lockett a few yards deep. Now he comes up a yard out on the return and gets up across the 23-yard line. 10.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. The Rams have been in control throughout, leading 23-10. Along with Rondé Barber and Holly Sutters, Chris Myers, the Rams, who have 23 points on the board. When they score 20 or more, they're undefeated at 6-0. But when it's less than that, they're 0-8. And their last win was back in 2004 in Seattle. Wilson to Fred Jackson. Shoved backwards before he got to the 30.
And that stat there, the not winning here in 10 wins, just speaks to the dominance of the Seahawks have maintained in this division for so long. The Rams really haven't been in that competitive the past couple of years, but they came in today with some real fire in their guts, and they're getting after this Seahawks team.
Extra pressure picked up. Catch made. Jermaine Kearse. That's his first catch of this game. And he had been on a tear lately. Gets the Seahawks a first down. Seattle is going to the playoffs. The best they can do is a 5 seed. That's where they entered the day. They could drop to a 6 seed, but a difference in playing either at Washington, you go on the road to start the playoffs, or Pete Carroll, if you had to go to play at the NFC North winner, which could be either the Vikings or Packers. But they didn't want to ease up in this game. Wilson's pass wide open. Jermaine Kearse couldn't hold on. And a tough hit from Rodney McLeod.
Really a tough hit by Rodney McLeod. And Tremaine Johnson, you see him in the slot. Watch this guy come play this inside breaking route. Leaves Jermaine Kearse running free down the sideline, but great range by McLeod to come force that incompletion.
Russell Wilson has not hit 200 yards passing. The rushing game here, only 39 yards total for Seattle on the ground. Rams jumped.
Well, this might be a situation again where we have an encroachment on one side and a false start on the other.
Looked like Akeem Ayers was across the line on one side of the field. Don't know if he was drawn off.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 56. 5-yard penalty, second down.
They must have thought that 56, you'll see him right here, thought he was going to be unabated to the quarterback, or they let that play run, and Russell Wilson gets a free play to take a shot.
Akeem Ayers, who's been all over the field today, had a fumble recovery and run back. A terrific run back to get the first touchdown of this game. Russell Wilson a little high for Fred Jackson.
Russell Wilson is taking a pounding today, in and out of the pocket. Every time he scrambles, somebody is on his back, hammering him to the ground. And this is Eugene Sims after he throws his football and down hard again.
He's attempted 30 passes. He has run only 4 times, but he's the leading rusher for the Seahawks team with 18 yards on the ground.
And that's been the difference today, I think, Chris. 39 yards rushing for the Seahawks offense is so far below their standards. Too much pressure on their quarterback right now.
Wilson flips to Fred Jackson, who slips a tackle. Fred Jackson with a first down. Inside the 45 of the Rams.
Well, Greg Williams decides to throw a blitz at Russell Wilson, and somebody has to account for the scat protecting back here, Fred Jackson. Just an easy completion, well read by Russell Wilson to pick up the first down.
And Russell Wilson is the best against the blitz statistically this year. The Rams, one of the top 5 blitzing teams in the NFL. Arizona leads the pack. Jackson through his hands. Speaking of Arizona, they are crushing the Packers 38-8 with just over 8 minutes remaining in that game in Arizona. Earlier in the day, the Steelers lost to Baltimore. The Jets beat New England. Atlanta at home handed the Panthers their first loss of the season. Carolina will finish against Tampa Bay. Seahawks will finish at Arizona as the rain has fallen steadily throughout the day here. Fred Jackson again. Inside the 35, just short of the first down.
Watch this pick by 84 on Akeem Ayers. He's going to come in here and just waylay the linebacker here, and that is a legal play because he's within a yard of the line of scrimmage. So there is no call there.
That was Cooper Helford who had the 4th down catch on the touchdown drive. Fred Jackson at age 34 going to his first ever playoff in his career with the Seattle team. The ball is loose and Russell Wilson can't come up with it. It's still loose. Seattle eventually. There's Fred Jackson as if cued. Looked like he came up with the football.
Well, he clearly recovered this football, but
you never know after what we saw
earlier. But how about the missed snap? I know there's a wet football. This ball just skids across the ground. Russell Wilson never has a chance and then makes the mistake of trying to pick that up to make a play with it. That ball could have gone anywhere. And Fred Jackson, fortunately, was heady enough to go back and recover that fumble. It would have been another takeaway for this Rams defense.
But a tough loss of 16 yards when they had a 3rd down and a pretty good drive going. Time running out on Seattle. It's a 2-possession game, though, if they want to try and rally in this one. Austin waving everybody away, and John Ryan's kick rolls down to the 5. Can the Rams end their skid in Seattle after a decade?
This game is sponsored by Taco Bell's Crunch Wrap Sliders. 4 full-size flavors, just $1 each.
Teammates consoling Patrick Lewis, the center. Had a couple of rough snaps today, and a key 3rd down. Loss of yardage, left a punt, and now the Rams take over. It's Gurley time. Todd Gurley up to the 13.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of heavy formations, 2-3 tight ends. Turn and hand this ball off. The clock is your friend at this point if you're the St. Louis Rams. But I got to tell you, you got to give a lot of credit to this Rams offense. Case Keenum's done a great job not trying to do too much. Of course, they barely have 200 yards of offense today, but they've dominated in time of possession in the second half or in the first half, and it's translated into the lead that you're seeing now for St. Louis.
The 15th carry of the game for Todd Gurley, and good enough for the first down. It was interesting in that opening quarter, they didn't run him a lot. They had Trey Mason in the game.
And they did, and they were trying to get Tavon Austin involved, and really, you mentioned it to me during the break, Tavon's only got 6 touches on the day, and yet they still have 23 points on the board. Some of that, of course, is credited to the defense, but I'm impressed with what this offense has been able to do here on the road against a really good defense.
Case Keenum said he had to make sure that he didn't make any major mistakes and handled the noise. And with the Ram defense, he knew his team would be in it. They're leading by 13. Todd Gurley again. That second surge may have gained him a yard. He's over 5 yards a carry today. Had the touchdown, his 10th of the season. And going to the Pro Bowl, we mentioned one of 3 rookies going. Of course, Lockett over on the Seahawks sideline is one of the others. But the Rams try to use up the clock.
No reason to snap this ball outside of 5 seconds on that play clock on your screen right here. Case Keenum's a smart guy. He understands the situation here. That thing will be in red before it's snapped.
With 2 to go on the clock, a dangerous pass, and the first time that Bradley Marquez had a chance for a catch. The AFC playoff picture with the results from earlier today. The Bengals, even though they play Monday night against Denver, they clinched the division in the AFC North because of the Steeler loss. The Chiefs, amazingly red hot after such a rough start. They are in as at least a wild card. They could still actually win the West depending upon what happens with the Broncos. And the Patriots, the number 1 seed at the moment. A screen. Benny Cunningham with nowhere to go. Stopped at the 14 at a timeout used by Seattle. That's their second, so they will have 1 remaining with just under 5 minutes to play.
Kind of surprised by the second down pass there. Actually gives them that extra timeout.
College basketball on the Big East. 2 of the top teams, 6th ranked Xavier and 17th ranked Villanova. On your home for Big East Hoops FS1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. A sensational matchup on New Year's Eve. Rondé and I want to wish all of you a happy holiday, an early Happy New Year. 1 more regular season weekend, and then it's off to the playoffs for those teams that have punched their ticket. Seattle being one of those, and still some work to do here. Packers kick short and rolls to midfield. It's only a 36-yard punt. Seahawks trail by 13. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers in Seattle down. It's a 2-possession game. 2 scores. They're going to have to make every second count.
They are, and they're going to come out and 4 wide receiver set. Fred Jackson in the backfield. Look for Doug Baldwin in the slot. You know he's been active there today. They got to get a touchdown on the board. They're going to have no chance to win this football game from behind.
Baldwin 7 catches over 100 yards. The leading receiver for Seattle is Russell Wilson. He's been sacked 3 times, just has to get rid of that. Fred Jackson, the second leading receiver for this team. It appears the string of rushing for 100 yards or more, 25 regular season games for Seattle, is about to come to an end here unless something breaks. They only have 39 yards on the ground. Hoping to keep the football dry enough. It's been damp all day. Wilson hoping for a quick strike. Runs right into a Ram and is thrown down.
Guess who? William Hayes. Been starting over there at left defensive end for Chris Long for the past couple of weeks, really month and a half or so. And he is just dominating over here. Russell Wilson with the propensity to hold the ball. His defense, his offensive tackle can't hold up. Another sack.
Middle of the field, catch made, and right at the first down marker, it's Cooper Helfet. Remember, Wilson out with a concussion earlier in the game, and that's good enough for the first down.
How many times have we seen this today? Every time that you think the Seahawks offense is dead, they come up with a big play on third down. Russell Wilson fired that thing in a 20-yard gain.
Rams shuffling on the defensive line. Pressure picked up and the catch made. Down on the sideline is Jermaine Kearse. He stays in bounds though. And the clock continues to tick. Seattle with one timeout. Wilson over 240 yards passing, has a touchdown and an interception today. Open is Kearse. And it's first and goal Seahawks. There's a flag down back where Russell Wilson
Holding. Offense number 64.
released the football. J.R. Sweezy in what could be a game changer.
J.R. Sweezy working on Aaron Donald. And we knew this was going to be the matchup. Keep your eyes on it right here. Aaron Donald, such a quick, explosive player with the spin move. He's getting by him, and then he just grabs him and pulls him down to the ground. Clear holding penalty. It takes away a huge gain for Russell Wilson.
Would have been a 24-yard pickup. Little agitation from the Rams defensive line. That's Eugene Sims rubbing it in after seeing the Rams lose consistently up here in the last decade. Wilson to the middle of the field. That'll keep the clock running though. Just at the 3-minute mark as Baldwin hauls in his 8th catch.
See the officials step in because Seattle was substituting. You have to give the Rams an opportunity to match it.
Wilson has room to get the first down. Ball came out at the end. Are they going to rule him down?
I don't think anybody touched him down. And to go head first, he's not giving himself up. This is going to be a takeaway.
It was not a slide.
The ruling on the field is the runner is down by contact.
Now you're outside of 2 minutes, so does Jeff Fisher want to challenge?
Yes. This may be a fumble. I thought he went head first and didn't get tackled down.
And here comes a challenge flag
Jeff
from
Fisher is smart to challenge this play, Chris. I think when Eugene Sims hit Russell Wilson, this ball is coming free. We'll see when we come back whether the Seahawks have a chance to get back into this football game.
A quick review after Jeff Fisher challenged what was ruled down. Looks like a fumble here and a clear recovery by the Rams.
Clear recovery and immediate action is the verbiage that they're going to use. They said he was down by contact, but that ball, as you saw in that replay, is clearly coming out. Akeem Ayers is right there on the spot. This ball, unless we're really wrong, is going to go to the St. Louis Rams.
After review, the call on the field has been changed. The ball was out prior to the runner down by contact. St. Louis recovered the ball at the 8-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10, St. Louis's ball. St. Louis has won the challenge, and therefore they keep their timeout.
And you could see as soon as the hit, there's the ball. And the Rams recover 7th fumble this year for Russell Wilson, and that's the 3rd one that he has turned over lost.
Well, it was going to be a big play for Seattle, but Eugene Sims is the opposite end. The right defensive end does a great job hustling after that play to make the hit to cause the fumble. Cannot speak highly enough about that effort play that created a takeaway for St. Louis.
And that's 3 today. 2 fumbles and an interception by the Rams. And the Rams have not turned it over. 2:38 to go. Seattle just has the 1 timeout. So Todd Gurley gets to the 10-yard line, and Seattle will use that timeout. There'll still be the 2-minute warning.
Well, this has been an amazing performance by St. Louis.
And look at Chris Long. He may be yelling back at the loyal Seahawk fans because after 10 years of losing up here in Seattle, 8-year veteran
I mean, this has been a disappointing season for the Rams, right, Chris, by all measures.
Yeah, this was supposed to be, after the trade and the drafts and all those picks, a season that they broke through in the West and made the playoffs.
But since they made the change at coordinator on offense, and whether that's the catalyst or not, they played really good football over the last month of the season. Sound football, the way that Jeff Fisher likes to play, with good defense, outstanding special teams, and an offense that doesn't hurt your team. And that's what we're seeing today. And really, there's your hero on that last scoring drive for St. Louis. He recovered 2 fumbles.
Rob Boras took over as offensive coordinator, and Jeff Fisher got a little more involved, but said they simplified the offense, especially on the key third downs, and their points were up, their yardage was up since he took over, and this now their third, what would be their 3rd straight win, provided they hang on here. And the Rams, if they win this game, 3-1 against Seattle and Arizona, the top of the division, 4-7 in their other games. As Gurley carries again, gets up to the 14.
And you know what else he said that impressed upon me was that when they made that change to Rob Boras 3 weeks ago, that the staff really rallied around what was going on offense. You said they simplified, but I think it was the emphasis that on making the change that really rallied this football team.
Jeff Fisher will let it run down to the 2-minute mark. The Rams, it would be a stunner in Seattle with a 23-10 lead. For Jeff Fisher and the Rams, this is America's game of the week. What a performance to come to a place where they have not had success. Facing a 3rd down and 3 with 2 minutes to go, the Seahawks are out of timeouts. With Rondé Barber and Holly Saunders, Chris Myers, nice to have you watching the NFL on Fox in Seattle. There's nothing wrong with that scoreboard. The Rams with a 23-10 lead. Todd Gurley, one of the few times he's been stopped today. And this is how the Rams did it. A fumble recovery. Akeem Ayers takes it back all the way. A spectacular return for a touchdown. Tremaine Johnson with an interception of Russell Wilson, his first in the last 5 games plus. And then Kenny Britt on a pass from Case Keenum for a touchdown. Todd Gurley, the rookie Pro Bowler, with 85 yards rushing, some tough runs to reach the end zone. And the Ram defense has not allowed Seattle to run the ball, again playing without Marshawn Lynch. And they have built a 23-10 advantage.
It's been impressive in so many ways. There's been 30-plus points by this Seahawks offense the last 5 weeks. They're sitting on 10 points. Good job today by this Rams defense.
Beneath the headline, that's the center, Tim Barnes, who in the Rams knockout drive, he recovered 2 fumbles on 2 different occasions. And it was James Laurinaitis who said, it's the same old story. You come to Seattle, we hang around for a half, and then they take over. The avalanche hits us. Well, the Rams held on today against the playoff-bound Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, they had one goal in mind, and that was to put Seattle in the 6th seed, and it appears that they're going to do that today. And a lot of credit to the offense of the Rams. They were steady. They didn't turn the football over, but that defense just got after Russell Wilson, that run game, the entire afternoon, and they're going to come away with a tough victory on the road here in a nasty rainy day in the biggest crowd ever to be in this stadium.
Not enough can be said about the steady performance of Case Keenum at quarterback as Tyler Lockett takes it straight up the middle and knocked down at the 36. Last time the Rams won in Seattle, Week 5 in 2004. A 17-point Rams fourth quarter comeback. Mark Bulger to Kevin Curtis. Jeff Wilkins kicked a field goal to tie it. And then in overtime, Bulger to Sean McDonald for a 52-yard touchdown and a 33-27 win. 49ers in 2011, the last team to sweep the Seahawks. The Rams last swept Seattle in that year of 2004. No timeouts, just over a minute to go. Wilson does have a touchdown pass to Doug Baldwin, and he has to flip to Fred Jackson, who gets down to about the 25-yard line.
And William Hayes, who's having a fantastic afternoon, almost got Russell Wilson on another sack. Good improvised play by Russell Wilson, though.
Wilson, as a flag goes down, is intercepted, but did he stay in bounds? No. Out of bounds, Rodney McLeod. We'll check the flag. Couple of strings about to come to an end for the Seahawks.
Looks like he's motioning for an illegal shift, and the Rams are smart. They'll decline this penalty and take the down.
9 penalties accepted on Seattle today. Jeff Fisher's team trying to win its 3rd straight game.
Well, Jeff Fisher's asking if that was a running clock and it was an offensive penalty with under 2 minutes in the football game, it should be a 10-second runoff too. And Seattle has no timeout, so they're not going to get the option to use it.
Seahawks had led, at least at some point, in 62 consecutive games. But not today.
Inside of 1 minute, while the clock was running, we have an illegal shift that converts to a false start. The play should have been shut down. It's a 5-yard penalty for 2 men moving. We also will have a 10-second runoff. Game clock operator, will you please set the game clock to 31 seconds, please? 31 seconds.
His time on the competition committee, I'm sure, helped. And also the fact that Seattle had a string of 25 regular season games of rushing as a team for over 100 yards. And that'll come to an end with just 60 yards rushing today.
Well, this has been a day of upsets, hasn't it, Chris? Carolina loses today. The Jets beat New England. This game, Baltimore lost to Pittsburgh. There's been a number of teams that you would have expected in the playoff hunt and really playing for the end of the season to win today, and they weren't able to.
Set the game clock to 31 seconds, please. 31 seconds. 38 seconds. 38, please.
So he wants it at 38 seconds. So the Rams will go to 7-8, and they finish against the 49ers. Seahawks going to their 4th straight playoff. Despite the struggles here, Fred Jackson's a little high and incomplete. And again, Seattle as the 5 seed, they would play at the NFC East at the moment, which would be the Redskins. Of course, the NFC North still to be decided between the Vikings and the Packers, and they play each other next week. That would be the 3 seed, and at the moment 1 and 2 need to be settled between the Cardinals, who won easily today over the Packers 38-8, and Carolina, which lost in Atlanta 20-13. Wilson's pass is complete. The red-hot string and combination of Baldwin and Russell Wilson comes to a fizzle here in the rain. Today's game, a Mike Burke's production, directed by Michael Frank, our technical producer Tom Lynch, technical director Ernest Bauer, broadcast associate Mike Strack, associate director Tavis Strand, Mark Sosna, Rick Odioso, and James Petralka helping us in the booth and with statistics as Wilson is on the run. For the end zone, catch made, and touchdown Seahawks, Jermaine Kearse.
Well, with 17 seconds on the clock, I'm not sure that it makes a difference, but this is yet another outstanding scramble play by Russell Wilson. He's going to see pressure right in his face early by William Hayes again, who just continues to whoop your right tackle here. But look at him buy time with his feet. Eugene Sims didn't hold the pocket together there. He finds time for Jermaine Kearse to the end zone. And I know they're not going to win this football game today, but plays like this are why the Seattle Seahawks are as dangerous as any team in football once the second season starts.
And a chance still to be the first NFC team to play in 3 straight Super Bowls. They're at least in the postseason tournament. That's the 31st touchdown pass of the season. The booth, of course, reviewing under 2 minutes to confirm. And the crowd on the officials here.
I mean, 17 seconds left. Obviously, you're looking for an onside kick and maybe a Hail Mary play if this stands. Would be improbable, but We'll have to see as they look at this touchdown.
Ruled a touchdown, but the booth is reviewing it. It was ruled a touchdown on the field, a booth review. Jermaine Curtis gathered it in. He did not step out of the back of the end zone. Clearly reeled in the ball and landed rear end first.
After review, the call in the field has been confirmed. Touchdown.
So the extra point. For Russell Wilson, that's Curse's 4th touchdown catch of the year. 31 touchdown passes for Russell Wilson. 33 is the franchise record. He'll have a chance in the last regular season game to do that before heading on into the playoffs. What a year he has had. Already setting career highs in completions, yards, touchdowns, passer rating. But frustration for Pete Carroll and this team with 17 seconds left.
Well, they still have a chance to get the onside kick here and maybe make a miracle play. And remember,
if anyone is capable of miracles, Russell Wilson, we've seen that. Let's look at the last successful onside kick. And Seattle did it at Indianapolis in 09.
Well, we haven't talked about it since the first touchdown, but how heavy is that missed extra point by Greg Zuerlein right now on the Seattle Seahawks?
Stephen Hauschka is 1 out of 6 in his career, and his team gathering the onside kick. The NFL rate this year is just over 15%. So the Rams will have the good hands people up front.
The Rams played Detroit a couple of weeks ago. Same situation. Onside kicked. He kicked it right at Marquez, and he dropped it. Detroit had a chance to get back into that football game.
Morande, I saw a miracle. I was down on the field for the NFL on Fox postseason game when against Green Bay. That tremendous comeback by this Seattle team on an onside kick that the Seahawks came up with. So with 17 seconds left, see what the story is in Seattle. Hauschka's bouncer out of bounds, and the Rams.
You got to wonder if the slick turf had anything to do with that ball not catching that second or third bounce that usually pops it up in the air and gives you a chance to recover it.
Well, Jeff Fisher and the Rams, as that the flag goes down against the Seahawks.
Free kick out of bounds. Ball we placed at the spot where the ball went out of bounds. First down.
And the Rams can run this out. They talked about what was left of their season, trying to keep whatever they could do, knock the Seahawks from a 5 seed to a 6. Pete Carroll said we don't want to ease up and let up in that competitive mode heading towards the postseason.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit here. I mean, St. Louis worked really hard for the calls today, and they're coming away with a really big moment in their season. Beating the team is clearly going to the playoffs, one of the hottest football teams in the NFL right now, and they did it, Chris, to me, in a really convincing fashion. Shut them down in the running game. The offense was just good enough, and they scored on defense. That's a way to win a football game on the road against a tough Seattle Seahawks football team.
Shows you what the Rams are capable of. A check mark with a victory in Seattle for Jeff Fisher and the Rams. A 23-17 final. We'll have more from Seattle in a moment.